Frantech is kind of surprising in that they'd been working on it in the background for a while, but it just kind of came out like that into public awareness. And in the last week, it's gained a whole bunch of users. It's invite only, and everybody is talking about it. And what it is basically is a way for you to buy or tokenize your friends. And once you tokenize your friends, you get a private space with them where you can kind of interact with them and they can interact with you. There's a little bit more to it, but in its essence, that's it. You can buy and tokenize your friends and talk to them in your own private space.
Yeah, and I think using the word friends in it, I know we use that a lot in social medias, but it's more like an influencer or a person that you follow on Twitter. You can buy a share in their private
Mm.
chat group on Friendtech, basically. And so it's built on Base, so Coinbase's layer two network. So that's obviously been getting a lot of traction late since it's been released. So I think that kind of helped push it. It's probably had a bit of Coinbase pushing behind it, but it's had the right elements of influencers producing it because those
Mhm.
influencers who have got big followings can actually get monetarily rewarded. That's what kind of Friendtech is doing. It's not only is it allowing you to buy a share and pay for this, it's also giving that influencer some money from that, which I think is a pretty unique idea. It's monetizing, I guess, your social media account.
That's the thing about it, in that I think that's how it hits. So when you go to the website, there's not too much there. It actually just says click here to download. And it's kind of hard to figure out. But then what happens is some influencers realize, oh my goodness, this could be actually pretty interesting. So I already have access to my friends and I can talk to them without needing to buy a share in them or anything. But what's happening right now is that influencers are saying, hey, you guys can be my friends and I can either interact to you one on one or one to many. All you have to do is buy a share in me. Now, this is such a really cool value proposition. I mean, I would love to have access to, let's say, Kobe Bryant or some musicians that I like. And this seems to be taking hold because, on the one side, influencers are able to make a little bit of money because they do make a little bit of money off the trade. And on the other side, users are able to access the influencers. But then the really cool thing is that it's also brought up this speculation aspect where I could buy shares in Kobe today as long as Kobe is on the app, and I could speculate and say, well, a lot more people are going to buy those shares. It's probably going to go up. And this speculation going, and there's a lot of being traded right now on Frentech.
Yeah, and so the cost for those shares keeps going up. So it's algorithmically driven. So if more people start wanting to buy and get access to that person, the price keeps going up and up and up. So I guess it creates a bit of a war for more people coming in. Like some of the biggest influencers out there, like a big crypto influencer, Kobe, is up like 2 ETH to buy access. And that's a lot of money. Like that's kind of start pushing people back from wanting to get that. But that's the kind of movement that's had. Like there's a huge amount of people wanting to get into space and wanting to get access to these people with the idea, I guess, that they're going to talk to you, you're going to be able to ask some direct questions. But there's no guarantee that, I guess, at the end of the day, is that what we're seeing here is Twitter influencers creating these accounts. Supposedly they're providing value on the other side of it, but I guess you don't really know that. There's no requirement for them to do that. And so that's, I guess, what you're playing out here is you're assuming that this influencer is actually going to respond to you and give you good information on the inside.
That's the thing. There's no guarantee. And once you've bought the shares in an influencer, they can either talk to you or they can't. But I guess it's in their interest to be interesting so that people want to come in and buy more shares in them. The higher the value of the share, the higher the fee. The fee, I think, is currently set at 5%. And that means that if you're an influencer and you have really highly priced shares, every time they trade hands, every time people speculate on you, you gain 5%. The crazy thing is that this protocol has only been out for just around a week, and with the fee set of 5%, influencers have made a total of more than $1 million spread out across all of them, and the protocol has made more than $1 million as well. This value is a couple of days old, so they've probably made a little bit more by now, and the growth is exponential. So the premise looks interesting, and I really want to see where this app goes.
It's definitely making money at the moment for sure. I guess the things that I think are blocking it from growth is that currently it is only crypto people in this space. It's only crypto people who are on Twitter. So Twitter is how you access this. You need to have a Twitter account. which kind of means you need to have a Twitter following because you're not going to get friends on FriendTech if you don't have a following on Twitter. And that brings me, I guess, to the thing that I find interesting is that if this really takes off, Elon Musk running Twitter sees a good idea that's utilizing and leveraging his platform. Well, then Twitter's just going to come up with this themselves, and they're going to create their own version of FriendTech without, I guess, the extra barrier of moving to FriendTech. I think that's probably a real risk of this project is that Twitter will just go, hang on, that works really well. I'm the big behemoth in this space. I'll just do the same thing, and everyone will come to me.
That would be kind of crazy if they did, and I honestly wouldn't be I wouldn't be too disappointed if they did. I actually be pretty happy in that a big platform is getting ideas from small ones and implementing crypto. But I think if a celebrity or if celebrities start to get into this thing, and we've known them get into NFTs in the past, and sometimes they've been incentivized to do so. But if Frentech does end up doing that, it could end up causing quite a bit of a stir in the crypto space, at least for a short time. Some of these projects just come and die, but this is something that I really like.
It's definitely been the outstanding project on social media. Like we've talked about Lens Protocol a few times on our show. It's not really done anything of significance. It's never really gained much traction. And so FriendTech has definitely come out and gained huge amounts of traction. And I guess because there's money to be made here, there's people gamifying it as well. Like when I signed up to FriendTech, a bot instantly bought my first keys because they wanted to obviously, hopefully, leverage off me coming into the space and having a huge amount of friends to buy up and shoot the price up. Because I think the first one you ever buy is like 11 cents or something like that. Very small amount of money. And so bots are starting to get into the space, hoping that they catch someone early and the price will shoot up as more and more people come into it. Sorry for the bot, not that popular. But that's what happens when you have money incentivizations. There's game theory is going to get involved, and people are going to see how they can make money from it. So I know there's people out there just doing that exactly. They're watching and waiting for big names, celebrities to sign up to FriendTech and trying to get in early. So that's one gamification that's going on in the space right now. The other thing that I see as a challenge for this is that how do people know the value that's on the inside of that other than them posting on Twitter itself the value to try and influence people to go in there? So I don't know, it's a social media on a social media kind of thing. So it's trying to privatize their messaging to people by adding value on the free version, Twitter, trying to convert them over to the private version where they can get access to you. I don't know whether that will really work in the long run on a
Mm.
large scale. There's already private groups that you pay access to. So this is kind of the same thing, just on a simpler platform. I think it's a really cool idea. Will it work out long term? I don't really know. I don't really know if it'll work out long term.
And the thing is that in order for it to work, the people who got in there because of money incentives need to keep earning. And the thing is that uh, the money can only be done through trading and speculation. So right now there's quite a bit of it, but at some point I would reckon that a celebrity who got in, their shares would probably stabilize at some point, and so the rate of change wouldn't be as big as it is today. If Britney Spears rocked in today, and assuming she's still popular, the shares would skyrocket like that. I know I'd get some. But at some point, maybe in a week or a month or something like that, the price would kind of stabilize. And then there's not much point in speculating in her so much. And the only thing that you can kind of gain is the like the fees, I suppose. So it remains to be seen whether actual value will be delivered, or it's if it's just another thing where it's speculation. I'm getting an tokenized version of this person or that person. That remains to be seen whether true value will be delivered, and if it is delivered, then we could have a winner.
Now, I see the problem with it being the algorithmic way in which the price goes up. It gets to a point where it's pretty high. So your Britney Spears, your closet Britney Spears analogy, um,
Mm.
when they get to about 150 people that own the keys, the price is around 2 ETH, 2.5 ETH. That puts most people out of the space of being able to afford it. So they're not going to be able to get more people in there, really. Like the majority of people are just not going to pay that regardless. And so the fees that this person generates will now taper off. People will start selling, sure. That will generate some fees that sells. The price might go down, but it's going to stabilize. And then they're going to have their core people that are following them that are just sitting there expecting them to keep giving them content to make it worth their while. And so this person's either going to make a lot of money because they give a lot of content and people stay for a bit, and they stop giving content, then people start selling and it gets cheaper again, and then people buy it because it gets cheaper and they start giving content. So people's like, so there's got to be this constant flux of people coming in and out for them to make money from it. Otherwise, if it gets to steady state, the influencer makes no more money. So they're not incentivized to keep providing and chatting to people anymore. So they need constant volatility, people coming and going to generate revenue. So that to me is not going to help the algorithm. It's not going to help the protocol because it doesn't incentivize retention. It incentivizes volatility of people coming and going, which I don't think is a long-term thing. Like YouTube, it incentivizes people to subscribe and stay longer. They want people to stay on the platform for longer without coming and going. And I think Friend.Tech is the opposite. It wants people to come and go in order to incentivize the content creator, which I think is a problem.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a problem. And something else that we have yet to see is the white paper. There's so little that is on the Friend.Tech webpage. And actually, what you do get is people who have looked at these smart contracts and they have analyzed it. And so everything we know is just on the contracts. And there's a space for an airdrop. If you have the Friend.Tech app, you get an airdrop every Friday. I think they probably got that idea from WorldCoin. And so there's probably going to be a token, but then the question is, what is it going to do? Is it going to be another inflationary thing, or is there going to be some interesting dynamics? That is something that remains to be seen. But if Friend.Tech is going to succeed, it needs to be 90% of everything else that's out there, because a lot of the times it just becomes a big deal and then it tapers off. We have yet to see something that lasts. I mean, we've got the giants, we've got Aave, Uniswap, blah, 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 but we've got a whole long tail of projects out there that haven't done so well. So kudos to Friend.Tech, and I want to see where these guys take it.
Absolutely, yeah. So from an investment perspective, yeah, there's no token yet or anything like that. I think there probably will be because, as you said, they're doing an airdrop on the app itself, but that's more like a Web 2 kind of loyalty points airdrop at the moment. It's not on-chain, so there's no tokenized incentive in that. It's just a Web 2 loyalty points program. But that could convert in the future when they get there. So can't invest in it yet. You can play the gambling game and try and buy an earlier influencer before it rockets up in price. You could try that, but in general, it's something that's just probably worth getting on there and playing around with and using to learn, I guess, ideas that are coming through, and I guess to understand the economics of it as well, because that'll give you a better idea of what other projects can do, and it'll help you to understand other projects in the future, whether it's a better economy design build or it's a worse one than this. So we can't invest in it, but there will be a token, in my opinion, in the future for this, if this hype can remain around long enough for it to get to that point.
Yeah, I think this is one that we need to keep watch over, because once the white paper comes out and we do understand what these guys are thinking, they'll let us know if there's a token, and then they'll let us know if they've got really interesting, cool ideas to incentivize retention. Then that could end up being really cool to get early before the bull run starts, because, well, it's already popular. That's one of the things that a lot of projects have to solve. This one has kind of solved the marketing thing. They've got an invite-only thing going. By the way, something worth mentioning in terms of invite-only is that they're really hard to come by, but if you do want to get an invite, we'll link Twitter search down on the description, and all you have to do is click on it and refresh it a couple of times, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and you will see the invites come through and you can just use it for yourself.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I think that's probably all we got on Friend.Tech today, mate. So give it a try, people, because I think it's worth giving a go and figuring out how to use all of this Web3 projects that are out there. And also, if you've made it this far, guys, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and help us get our message out there. Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Simon. Till next time.